Awesome. All right, welcome. And it is my extreme pleasure to welcome Jethro Jones to this short conversation. To introduce him, Jethro is one of our fantastic mentors and leadership coaches on LinkedLeaders. Got to know Jethro over the last few months and am continually inspired by him and his wisdom and all the things that he's done in education. He's the founder and author of the Transformative Principal podcast, which is it the longest standing podcast in ed leadership or something close to that?
Yeah, pretty close, if not the longest, one of the longest, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it certainly doesn't define who he is. He's much more than that. But I'll let Jethro expand a little bit on his professional and who he is and personally, professionally, wherever he wants to go. So Jethro, welcome.
Hey, thank you. First and foremost, I was a principal for about a decade at all levels of K-12 and including a prison school and a homeschool program, and learned a lot through that process from Title One to the prison to, uh, affluent schools and all that. And um, what I really what I really love is making school an individualized process for students. Every kid is unique, and they need to have a school that is designed for them, just like the teachers need a school that is led and designed for them, and the same with principals. So that's what I focus on is taking these great ideas that we have and making them tailored and individualized for each person.
Awesome. You said you're principal for a long time. Where were you? Where did you spend the most time as a principal? Where were you at?
Yeah, most of my time was in Alaska in middle schools.
Yeah. So a lot of experience, I would imagine, in the rural settings and or remote. I don't know where you were exactly.
Yeah, a little bit remote, but all city ones. So I wasn't out in the bush, but they were real isolated, very far away from anything. One you could only get to by boat or plane. The other one was in Fairbanks, and it was just very far away from everything in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. What a cool, interesting experience. So Jethro, here we are connected through Link Leaders and have a lot in common, both in our background, but also in our desire to help school leaders. Can you share an example of when you've provided mentorship or coaching to someone? I know you have a lot, but maybe give a specific example and give a little bit about little background on the context and how you approached it.
Yeah, because I believe that learning is an individualized experience, that's the way I approach my coaching also. And so I've coached a lot of people through the same exact problems and challenges, but each time I do, my focus is specific on them and what they need and what they're actually going to hear in that moment based on how well I know them and understand them already. So I'll give an example of two principals who were going through the same thing and needed different advice. And this involved teachers in their buildings who were being, I'll say, a little bit subversive and trying to cut them off at the knees whenever they did things. And it was really challenging for both of them. One of them needed the advice and support to become more strict and say, no, this is how it's going to be. And the other one needed the advice and support to step back and be empathetic and listen to what they were experiencing. And the reason why I shared these two examples is because we always have somebody who's out there like saying, I'm not going to go along with this. And depending on who you are and who they are and what has happened before, you need to approach that in a way that's actually going to get results and solve the problem. And in these two situations, the good news is that both of them reacted appropriately in the situation. And by being more empathetic, built trust and support. And by being more directive, helped them know that they were going to stick to this course of action. And we really had to dig down on that one specifically to make sure that the things they were pushing for were really what they believed and what they wanted to happen. And so I used an approach to ask about, well, what if this happened and it was the opposite of what you intended? And what if this happened? And they just couldn't live with the idea that the things they were pushing for would not happen how they wanted. And that was a freeing moment for them to say, yes, I really do believe this is the right course of action, and I can't be convinced otherwise. And that helped them make the better choice for their teachers so that they could be more directive and say, this is what it is. Uh, and then the teachers understood, okay, he's really serious about this and we can, this is how it's going to be. And then they moved forward and they got on the same page and it worked out all right.
Yeah. I love how you kind of took that in that same problem, and on the surface it's like, okay, it's the same problem. So, logic might say, or really basic logic, oh, well then probably the same solution. But when you drill down into it and you get into kind of the why behind the problem and the who behind the problem, and that, you're exactly right that it can be a completely different approach, or solution to the issue. So, I love it. Good stuff. And that is a lot of experience, talking behind what you're saying is really kind of the empathy of understanding kind of what's behind some of the issues and things like that, and helping them untangle that. I love it. So you have a ton of experience, obviously, and a lot of expertise. So based on that, if you were working with a school leader today, what type of questions or problems would you be just like over the top excited about helping, just because you knew like it was in your sweet spot? Like what is that, like a one problem that you would just be so excited to jump into, with another school leader?
Yeah, the biggest one for me would be focusing on student-driven learning and helping the students have an individualized experience and redesigning your school to make that actually possible. Because it is very possible and it's actually a lot more fun for everybody involved. So that is the most exciting thing that I could just talk for hours about and I keep coming back to is how much fun that is for the principals, for the teachers, for the students, and for the parents. And when I did that in my own schools, the way I knew that it was working is when parents would come and say, I don't know what you're doing at the school, but my kids never talked about what they do at school. And now I don't even have to ask, how was your day? They just start telling me the things they're doing. And boy, that is the best kind of feedback you can get as a principal because it means kids are actually enrolled in the learning and they care about it and they're excited to share what they're doing, which is so powerful.
If I'm a school leader, just hearing that, and I'm going, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, but I'm not there yet. Guess what I'd be doing? I'd be reaching out to you and picking your brain and learning as much as I can from your experiences. So, and I actually want to do that. So maybe as a separate call, we need to talk more. Love
Yeah, sounds good.
it. Jethro, thanks for the time, and thanks for all that you do for school leaders and for education in general. Appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you.